everyone, welcome back to TSR Techniques. If you're a new subscriber, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, click the like button, and don't forget your little bell for notifications to keep up with all our next coming videos. Today we're going to be doing an oil change on the zforce 600 side-by-side by cfmoto, and this is the 4x4 CF600-3. So to start getting through this here, I'm going to have you guys follow me over here to the workbench, and we're going to show you what tools that we're going to need to complete this job today. It's very important to get your owner's manual out to make sure you got all the right stuff that you're going to need. The oil specifications, the oil filter, we got ours from the dealer. So this is our cfmoto filter straight from our dealer here in town. The oil we're going to be using is the Rotelity, which I highly recommend. It's a 15W40, and that is also recommended here in our book as the oil that they want us to use. Then we need our sockets. We're going to be using a 10mm for the skid plate bolts. Then we're going to be using a 14mm for the engine protective aluminum cover. And then we're going to be using a 17mm for the actual drain plug itself. Recommend a couple different ratchets that you're going to want to use. This one's, you only really need the long one if your drain plug has been over torqued or is stuck, or maybe your skid plate got popped up in there and kind of tweaked it a little bit. That means you're probably going to need a new drain plug. If you got something that hit that hard, be prepared to do that drain plug before you drain that oil out of there. So we're going to be using our little electric ratchet here. You're also going to want your oil filter wrenches. On the cfmoto, I will show you when we get to that point, you're going to want to use these pliers. If you can't use one of these cups or this oil filter band wrench because there's a tab in the way. There's no way to slip either of these over the filter because of that tab. And we have a digital torque wrench and a mechanical torque wrench. If you have your digital torque wrench, make sure you look at your specifications in here. And it's telling us our drain plug torque is going to be 22 foot-pounds or 30 newton meters. Today I have our torque wrench set to the 30 newton meters. So let's go ahead and move over here and get this project started. Don't forget your drain pan, and you're going to want some rags. Have that stuff all ready. So we're going to move over here. First thing we're going to do is we want to pull this seat out for easier access. So we're going to lift that tab up, flip it forward. There's your tab in the back of the seat, and it just pulls right out. We'll set that aside for now. If you can see down in here, there is a drain fill plug there, and that's actually your dipstick, that little yellow guy that my finger is pointing to right now. You're going to take that out now so the oil can come out a little quicker without gurgling and trying to take forever to drain out. So I'm going to loosen that. And there's your little dipstick that's on the end of that. We'll wipe that all off to get them all cleaned off for when we go to put them back and start checking. And we'll just set it down right there out of the way for now. And now I'm going to go ahead and raise this up, and then I'm going to show you what we need to do about the skid plate and everything, getting that all off of there. Now you can use jacks and jack stands to do this. You don't have to have hoists. I'm going to go ahead and grab our light here and put it underneath. That way we have better light for the video. Try to get everything lit up. And as you can see, if you look there, you can see the light blue underneath skid plate. That is your aluminum plate that you're going to need your socket of the 14. And then the other bolts on there for the skid plate themselves, those are going to be 10 millimeter. So let's go ahead and start taking that all off. Gonna line up our tools here. Try to keep your tools organized and know where they are. You don't want your tools all over in different places because then you lose them. You could slip on them. You don't want to have to look for a tool for 15 minutes just to do something simple. Okay, we're going to start by taking these bolts out here. These are your 10 millimeter bolts, and they have custom washers on them that fit right inside the skid plate there. So I'm going to get this guy out, and we're going to get our 10 millimeter socket. Now I recommend you start from the front, especially since this is the way we're going and we're going to end up working here. We're going to have to hold that skid plate up, or there's a trick. You could leave one bolt in, and I'll show you which one, where you can actually just slide this over out of the way so you don't have to set it all down, and you still have one bolt in there to just line it all up again when you go to put it back up. So I'm going to start in the front here. And we got these three right across the front. And there's your little washer. You can see that guy. Now right here, this bolt here on this very far front corner, just behind the tire, after you get those three out, this is the guy that you're going to want to leave. So leave this guy here. And then we got, let's see, 4, we got 5, looks like 5. Got 5 across the back. Now see, this is going to come down like that. Now if we move these guys out of the way, all you have to do is grab this guy and just gently pull him over out of your way. Just give yourself enough working room. Just like that. That should do it. Now we're going to switch our socket here. And we're going to switch over to our 14 to get that aluminum skid plate. This is the skid plate that covers the bottom of the motor and the engine mounts. Probably a good idea to take a look at your engine mounts while you're up in here. And you only got 4 of these bolts here. Gonna have to move that guy just a little more. There we go. And there's your 4 bolts there. This is your drain plug right here. And that's going to be a 17. And these are your little, these are your engine mounts right here. And they got the rubber mount on the back side of this. You can see your bolts going all the way there, and then you got two individual ones here. So now we're going to get our 17. Loosen this guy up. And get our drain pan under here. I prefer to hold it up by hand when I first get started there, just to make sure that I don't have any weird stray stuff going on. Try to keep the shop as clean as we can. This is kind of a long bolt by the time you get that thing out. And then there's a crush washer that goes on there. So don't lose that little crush washer. Some filter kits, I'm not sure about the cfmoto, but some of them have a new crush washer, or you have to order them separately. If I don't have a new one with the filter, I'm just going to clean this off and reuse it. This is why you want your rag available with you under the vehicle. So we got that little brass crush washer cleaned off now. Set him over here out of the way. And here's our drain plug. And at the end, this guy seems to have a magnet in it. And I'm feeling a little bit of grit, if you can see it on my fingertip now. So we're going to clean all that off. Whatever you take off, anything you ever do, it always should go back clean. Make sure you clean everything off. You have something stuck on the threads, it could mess up the threads on the drain. That would be a nightmare. Now I'm going to move this guy over just a little bit. Now we know where it is there. And our filter's right up here, if you can see this filter. And you got a coolant hose in this area too. Be real careful with this coolant hose. It's coming straight off your water pump over here. So don't kink that coolant hose around too much if you don't have to. Trying to figure out my best angle on this here and still be able to show you guys what I'm doing. So I'm just going to squeeze that. And this is the tab I was telling you about that's in the way, that you can't get anything over this filter here. You can't use a cup. So we got that started. Now this was obviously put on way too tight. I prefer to do my oil changes myself, but last time it was actually in the shop getting an adjustment on the shifter cable. I had them do the oil and it's just too tight. Try to get it a little bit more with these pliers here. All right, now we're starting to move. And if your drain pan, see how I moved it back just a little bit? I'm catching that oil off the oil filter. Let's get that guy loosened up now. We got got it draining off pretty good already, so. So there's that oil filter. I'll set that guy aside. Now, see this flange right here? All the way around? That's where that rubber gasket for that oil filter sets. So you're going to want to take your rag and your fingertip, and you're going to want to go around that flange with your fingertip, and you're going to want to rotate your rag, and you got to get all that dirt off of that flange. Move our hose just a little so I can get a good clean deal on there. And I also like to try to get anything out of the ridge right there from pulling up. All right, that's looking pretty good now. Now I'm gonna get out of here and grab our oil filter. Okay, here's our oil filter. I do not see a brass O-ring in this package, so we will just reuse the other one. Here's our number for this. CF188-011300. And let's look at what we took off, but don't flip it over. We're gonna have to look upside down here and get in the light a little bit. Well, it's kind of scratched, but it looks like 88 to me there. And then it's 1011300. Looks the same size. So, I've already measured out our oil here. It's 2.5 liters. This is 2.64 quarts, which is equal to 2.5 liters. So, in order to save myself on some engine wear and tear, I always put just a little bit of oil in here. That way it doesn't have to run dry when you first start it up for so long. I'll just put in a little bit, let it soak down, and then I kind of move it around a little, just so it has a little bit of extra time. That way the pressure builds faster. I'm going to move this stuff out of my way here. Now, lean your oil so you can see it. Get your fingertip in there. And then put a little bit of oil around that rubber seal. Now it's already ready to seal right up against there. It's got a nice good coating of oil on it, which helps it seal up. And I'm going to get back in there. We'll go ahead and get that oil filter on there. Try real hard not to bump this seal against anything when you're going to put it on. So tip it over, get it lined up, and just start spinning to where you feel it. And you'll feel it thread. See, it just threaded just now, see? It's not tight, but you could feel the threads just start to grab. You should be able to turn this like this. If you're not turning this with just a couple fingertips, you don't have it threaded on there correctly, and you could strip it out. So make sure that you get it on there and you thread it on there with fingertips. Now I'm using two hands because I can't really get a wrench in there. Like I said, this thing interferes. So you can't really use the cap to tighten this thing. Get in there maybe this way with that hand. Try to get a little bit more on it. Okay. Get my rag on there too. Be careful of that hose. All right. I'm feeling pretty good about that. So, now we're going to get our drain plug. And I just put this guy back on here. Here's our little brass guy. Same thing. Get in here with your fingertip. Wipe off that flange. Make sure there's no dirt that came down and is going to interfere with that brass. Because once you tighten this thing up, if there's a piece of dirt there, you could get a leak. Get that guy started. Nice and easy, see? Two fingertips. It should just spin right up in there. If it doesn't, back it out because you might have something stuck on one of the threads and it's aluminum. You strip it, you got to get a new drain plug or worse. So you don't want to do that. Now I am just going to lightly start that like that with just the thumb. I got my thumb and I'm just lightly pushing on that. Now we go get our torque wrench. And we are set at 30 Newton meters. And you can see the Newton meter right there. Get our 17 on here. Nice and easy. You see the lights. That's it. We're perfect. That green light right there means we are at 30 Newton meters. That's all it takes. Got our funnel here. And we need to move our light out of the way for a minute. And I'm going to clean out our funnel, and then we're going to get our oil, and we're going to pour our oil in. Brake cleaner. Use brake cleaner. Always clean out your funnel. Don't want anything in your funnel going into the vehicle. And we'll go ahead and lower this guy down and get our oil in there. We'll set our funnel right there. Okay, so now we got to get this funnel down in here. It's kind of a strange angle, but we'll get it. Just like that. And we already measured our oil, so we're just going to go ahead and pour this in. Don't want to go too fast with it because it'll just come up that funnel really fast because your fill hole, the plug, is really small. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and take our funnel out, and it's gonna be a little bit full. It's pretty full. I can see it almost to the top there, but we haven't started it yet. Remember, when we start the vehicle, it's gonna put some of that oil into the filter. So that's why it's pretty full. Just remember, it's gonna be a little full. So try not to overfill. Make sure you try to measure your oil. So now I'm gonna take our dipstick plug here, or fill plug. I'm gonna put it in there. And you're probably wondering, why didn't we put the skid plate on? Well, because you can't see if it's got a leak or something if the skid plate's on. So you always do the oil change first, then you put the skid plate on after you're sure there's no leaks. So that's what we're doing. So now we're going to fire this guy up. Look over here. I don't see anything leaking around that filter. It looks really good. We got it on there nice and even and got her tightened up. I don't see any drips into the pan down there. Sounding pretty good. Get my rag here. I left it over on this side while I wipe everything off. Take that dipstick out, wipe it off nice and clean. Screw it back in. And there we go, we're good. Nice clean fresh oil in there. Wipe everything off down here. And we can go ahead and raise it up. Now we're going to put our skid plates back on. Okay, we're going to move our oil out of the way here. Okay, I have no leaks down here. Everything looks good. My motor mounts, they look good. I don't have any issues with those. Okay. So, we're going to go ahead and get our aluminum plate here. And we need our 4 bolts. Keep it loose. That way you can see what you're doing. Look through this corner right here, line up your bolts. Sometimes it just doesn't want to cooperate, I guess. There we go. Remember, 2 fingertips only. Now, once you get to about there, you're going to want to line this back piece up right about here. So that skid plate goes over top of it. See where we're at here. All right. Now we already have our 14 socket on here because that's what we took off last. Remember, you don't have to hammer those guys home. Just tight. Okay. Now, we're going to move our skid plate back over. I'm going to shake it a little bit, get some of this dirt off of here. It's not a lot. I'm not going to worry about taking it off and washing it. We'll probably wash it the first time we take it out and go through a water hole. Okay. Let's move that out of my way. Then I'm going to pull this up here. And I just want to get one bolt in back here. Just finger tight. And it's not cooperating. Sometimes if you just take your socket off and use that just by itself, it sure makes a difference. Okay. So now we're going to go up here. And the reason is we want to start in the front and work our way back. And that's the guy we left in to make it nice and easy to swing it. This one we had a little bit of an impact on, so I got to put the washer in first, like that. Everything finger tight. Everything goes in. And then we'll come back and tighten them all up with the impact. you do them all finger tight like this, and then you come back and tighten them, you won't get to the last bolt and go, oh man, I gotta loosen every one of these just to get that last bolt to line up. Because that sure takes a lot of work. A lot of extra stuff on and off there. So just nice and loose, finger tight on those guys. Okay, now we're going to take our impact and we're going to start in the front, right in the middle. Done. Done. Yep. That one's tight still. And that wraps up our skid plates and our aluminum engine cover. So those are all back together. Don't forget, if you like our videos, make sure you like them, subscribe, and hit that little bell notification button. We're going to be doing the differentials on this probably next to clean them out and put new differential fluid in them. So keep your eye out for that video. If you hit that bell, we'll get you a notification. And we'll have another video coming up with how to change the oil on your BMW X5 2006. So like and subscribe, and we'll see y'all again soon. Thank you and have a great day.